Yeah, business is business. Come on, you're talking $1,500 here.
Good evening, my fine fellows and friends. My name is Octavian, and I've got another episode of Price Check to bring your way. This is going to be episode number 8, and for those of you unfamiliar with the premise of the series, this is a series in which I grab a tab full of unidentified rare loot, as you can see right here, sort through it, price it as I see fit, check the price, as the title says, and hopefully teach all of you all how to do your own price checking a little bit better through example. As well as that, at the end of each episode, I do have one or two pieces of gear that I know are decently valuable, or at least have some suspicion are valuable and maybe want to learn something about myself as to how to price check them so that you guys can learn along with me, or so that I'm guaranteed to have something at least to show you if all of this stuff is bust, which is a real possibility given the frequency of good items that you get in Path of Exile, i.e. not very frequent. So with that being said, let's get underway. And two more pieces of jewelry to fill that out. There we go. And our faithful Navali will, I'm sure, buy quite a bit of trash off of us, as she always does. Little tip, by the way, it's not that big a deal. You probably should have Navali as the vendor that you vendor to, so you can also seek prophecies between maps whenever they get used up, because you want to be rolling your prophecies as often as possible. You can make a lot of money off of that. Let me just go over these two here. Accuracy isn't bad to get in a helmet. Resistances are good too, but no life means no deal. No life means no deal here as well. The multi is relatively high on this axe, but there's no attack speed. The LE rolls are low. The fizz damage is low. And that kills it. 76 life, some decent resistances. Mana as an implicit isn't as bad as it used to be. This is a fairly bricky ring. 50 dex is also quite nice. This is a fairly bricky ring with the low tier flat evasion. You don't really want flat evasion to begin with, and the really, really low tier physical damage. But outside of that, it's actually rather nice. So we're going to go ahead and list this. I think I'll start it at 5 chaos. That cold res is kind of low. The lightning res, life, and dex are all nice. The cold res is a little bit of an added bonus. And maybe if someone needs mana for a mind over matter build, that could be nice too. So we'll start it at 5C. Not a very synergistic jewel. Very low damage rolls. Decent crit multi, but very low damage rolls. This is rather nice, and this is a candidate for a Fall Orb. I've come across belts like this in the past. Studded belt is not a very good belt base. You don't want stun duration as your implicit, so a Fall Orb will reroll that implicit for you. The explicit rolls in this are quite nice, though. That is a 100-something life, 119, 120 life, something along there, and 2 nice resistances. And flask life recovery rate, not very valuable, but it doesn't really hurt being on there. So I'm gonna throw a Fall Orb at this, and if we get +1 endurance charge, we have a real nice belt in our hands. Nothing to speak of, except for like flask duration and an okay ES roll, but eh. A good amount of life, 1 resist. This is something that in the literal first few days of a league, this could probably sell, but now I think we're past this belt's prime. Nothing to speak of there. 1 to 3 physical damage. I think that's literally as low as it goes. And yeah, nothing we want there either. I guess that attack speed roll isn't terrible, but it's not great either. Good wed, decent life, but no resists, and it's not even really good life, so goodbye ring. 72 life, that caught my attention, but everything else is pretty low, except for the ES, but you don't want a high ES roll on a ring that already has a high life roll. You kind of want one or the other. There are some hybrid builds out there, but they're not very popular. Good cold res, nothing else. All res, and a very high flat fizz roll, but that's not going to be enough to save it. Nothing we want on that. Low life, 103 crit chance for spells, 32 crit multi, and a high lightning damage to spells roll. This is a nice dagger. We're going to take the time to price check that. Could be really good. I'm still becoming familiar with spell damage daggers myself, so we're definitely going to see what this can do. And I think you can craft spell damage onto that, and that would make it much nicer. Percent ES and cast speed do go kind of hand in hand, but it's a low percent ES roll and it's got nothing else. And 42 int is all that amulet can lay claim to. So let's go ahead and throw that Fall Orb at the belt. And, oh, I didn't check this amulet. 79 life, 23 dex. It's not really enough to save it. 79 life is really high for an amulet, though. It only goes up to 89, so. +1 endurance. Ah, I bricked. It didn't actually break into a bad belt, though. Holy crap. That's 2 good resists, a really good wed roll, or attack, elemental damage with attack skills, pardon me, and okay life. Yeah, we can still sell that. We can definitely still sell that. We can still sell that for like 8C, maybe. That's where I'm going to start it. Might even be higher, honestly. It's just the life roll's kind of low. And it's a bad base, and it's corrupted so you can't craft anything onto it. And it's got stun threshold and armor. We can start it at like 12. Who knows? Maybe it'll sell. And this was bad. I'm not going to walk back over to Navali for it, though. I said 5C on this ring. And this dagger, we're going to price check. So let me go over to my browser real fast. Oh, hey. Don't need to have my work schedule up for all you folks. Let me get a PoE trade window going. There we go. And we're going to search for a dagger. We're going to search for one. Let's see what we can craft onto this. We can craft spell damage onto this if memory serves. Oh, we can't. Oh, yes we can. Yes we can. So we can craft up to 44% spell damage. It's going to cost us 4 chaos to do, though, so it might not be profitable, but we'll see. We'll see whether or not we can make enough of a profit doing that. Let's look for 120% crit chance for spells total. So 120. And the crit multi-roll was 32, so we're going to put in a minimum of like 28 crit multi. And that was global, right? Yeah, that was global. 28. Those are the relevant things, but we're also going to search for just lightning damage to spells. And search for basically any amount of that, and then we'll sort by that to find one similar to our dagger. So 12 results, which isn't great. Well, which is great actually. You want a small sample size. Then we'll sort by the lightning damage, and we'll see that we have a pretty valuable dagger on our hands. This one has int, which is actually much better than the 5 to 9 fizz that ours has. That local fizz won't matter for anyone. And 50C for 3 days means that that's probably a overpriced piece of gear there, but 20C, that's still heartening, as that's got 9 to 109, we've got 7 to 131, so we've got arguably a better lightning damage roll. Lower low, but higher high. This has more crit, but we've got more crit multi, and we could craft on spell damage. And this guy crafted on the lower tier of spell damage. We could craft on the higher tier and get more out of our dagger here. Go up to 44% potentially. So I'm actually going to take the plunge on that. I'm going to go ahead and spend the 4 chaos to craft this on, and then we'll list the dagger for 25C. And so we'll be spending 4, but we'll be gaining 25, so effectively a 21C profit or so. What do we roll? 35. The lowest range, lowest end of the roll possible. That's very unfortunate. Still, though, I'll put it over 25, and we'll see whether or not we can get a sale. The only thing it's really lacking is an attack speed roll, or an implicit or a natural spell damage roll. Which can go much higher than a crafted spell damage roll. Anyways, back to price checking the rest of the tab. And hopefully today is the day that we find a good Siege Axe or Imbued Wand. I doubt it, though. Weapons are really, really demanding and hard to find a good one of. And this isn't it. 39 life is pretty low. No life is also quite low. Not what we're looking for on an Imbued Wand. Not very good either. Cast speed is what you're looking for on a Profane Wand, but that's a kind of low roll, and it doesn't have anything else synergistic. 40% Fizz is too low. 93 life, 43 cold res. Early on in the league, this could sell for a chaos. I think at this point, we're past its prime. Too low life. No life. I don't think that's worth an AUG. AUGs aren't really even money, but nobody looks... Well, not nobody. Very few people look for crit chance on jewels. You want crit multi on jewels, because you can get your crit very high without using jewel sockets. Good amount of LA damage, but no attack speed. It's unfortunate. 7 life, so goodbye. Doesn't synergize too well. Fire damage, flat, and cold damage, obviously, they don't work so great together, though some builds can make use of both. We'll AUG that. Not that. And not that. Plus 2 to all attributes is rough, and the rest of it's pretty rough as well. Good amount of resists, decent flat fizz. If that had a life roll, that would be worth a good amount, potentially. Lots of stats, okay life, really bricky otherwise, no resists. If this had like 1 semi-decent resist, I'd try to sell it. But as it is, the life is too low. Well, it's 66 life, 67 life. And then 39 dex, 52 strength. Maybe a chaos. Maybe we can get a chaos out of that. I really doubt it, but we'll put it up. We'll take the time to list it. It doesn't really cost me anything, and we'll augment this. And not get anything useful. Put away the money. And finish off with the last few little bits. And if you're just interested in the highlights of what was good, I always leave a comment below the video that points out those highlights. You can just skip through the video to all the items that were worth talking about. Also, as I go further into the video, I try to spend less time on each individual item. 46 ES, 40 cold res, some mana, some strength. This is not a bad ring for an ES build. The life is kind of irrelevant. It's kind of unfortunate that it's there, actually. Chaos damage, attack speed, holding a shield. This is a promising start, because Dark Pact is so popular right now. Chaos damage plus attack speed while holding a shield, because you see a lot of shield charging Dark Pact builds. That actually wouldn't be that bad. If this then had like area damage, or just a life roll, that would be pretty damn nice, but as it is, it's not quite good enough. Melee damage, damage with poison and cold damage. Melee damage, cold damage makes me think of Frostblades immediately. If this then had proj damage maybe, or one-handed damage of some variety, or damage with like claws or something, but no. Good crit multi, good ES. I mean, good lightning res, but bad ES and no life roll. So sad. Good wed, good resists, percent ES. Well, decent resists, not good. I mean, it's an all res roll and a bad cold res, and it's the right base. That could actually sell. I'm gonna put that up for like. I'm gonna be generous. I'm gonna start that at 5C. An ES build might actually want that. It's actually much more difficult to get percent ES nowadays. I will corrupt you for a endurance charge build, and neither of those were any good. And you're bad. You're very bad. Wow. And you're pretty bad as well. Okay. So 2 semi-decent pieces of jewelry and another belt to corrupt. Endurance charge. No. That probably won't sell on its own merits, but we'll put it up for a chaos just to try and make back the loss of the Vol. And this will start at 5. Okie doke. And on to the last few pieces of gear that I had saved specifically for the end of the video. We will start with this amulet here. Now this one has a literally perfect life roll. Life on amulets only goes up to 89. As well as that, it has a T2 flat fizz roll, and it had room for a crafted resist, and the mana even makes it better for mind over matter. So this is quite a nice amulet, and we're going to take the time to price check it. The only thing that's really lacking is any significant amount of resistance, but the right build could definitely take a hit in resistances to be able to wear this. So we're going to look for an amulet. We're going to look for one with life above 80 minimum. And I mean, it even has more than 89 life because it has a 21 strength and the implicit, which is another 10. So that's like almost 100 life on that amulet, which is pretty crazy. But we'll go with 85 now that I think of that. And let's put in the flat fizz. And mana, because the mana is actually pretty relevant here, I believe. I'm going to put in a mana minimum of 50. And we're going to add a filter group here of cold, lightning, and fire res. Oh, got a sale on a skill gem from an Uber Lab run. 1 sec. I should probably put D&D on while running these, which is just a quality hypothermia support that's selling. It's nothing particularly interesting. And fire res. And we'll put a 25 roll on each of these. And sell the man his hypothermia support and put a maximum of, thank you for the 5C friend, we'll put a maximum of 35 on each of these as well. So we're just looking for one resist roll. This is a very specific search. I'll probably have to widen it, but we'll see whether or not we find something. Yeah, I didn't think so. We'll check offline as well, though. I want to see if there's something really similar to my amulet available. No. Oh, I didn't count. That's why. Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. Count 1. All right. 22 results, so we can set it back to being online. And then what we want to do is, because we put in just any amount of flat fizz and not a really high amount like we have, we want to just sort by flat fizz and then see what something similar to our amulet is like. So this is much more resistances. This is a better amulet than ours. That's a good amount more resistances as well. This is similar. This is basically our amulet, actually. Except we have a strength and int implicit, so we have a little bit more in way of stats. And instead of that accuracy, we have rarity, which I'd argue the accuracy is actually better. So it's up for 10C. It's only been up for 17 hours. We might be able to get 10C out of it, but this is pretty damn similar as well. Doesn't have the rarity. It's up for 20 for 10 hours, so this might be underpriced. I'd argue it is, actually. More resists than ours. More resists than ours. So I think we can start it at 20C and maybe lower it over time, see how long it takes to sell. So we'll go ahead and do that. And some people were requesting that I revisit items when they sell at the end of episodes. So we're going to go with 20 chaos. And can I write a little note on this? No, sad. Because I wanted to write a little note to let myself know that this was price checked in episode 8, but I'll just try to remember that as best I can. It's going to be difficult to categorize all the various items and put them at episodes whenever they do sell. But let's go with this imbued wand next. This is one that I had a hunch might have some value, but I could very well be wrong. Most people aren't looking for an imbued wand as a wand base for spellcasting, but it does have a spell damage implicit. Usually I pick these up hoping for a good fizz wand, but what I got this time was a good spell damage wand, potentially, though it doesn't have cast speed. But it does have a really nice crit multi-roll, or relatively nice. So we're going to go ahead and search for some wands that are relatively similar. So we're going to start with wand. And what we're going to do is, the first thing I'm going to do is exclude cast speed from our results, because there's none on this, and I think that's a pretty damn big deal. So no cast speed, please. And we want 70% spell damage is what we've got, so let's just put in 70%, or let's not be so on the nose. Well, we've also got a fire damage roll, which is 28%, so we've got 98% spell fire damage. So let's go with 85, something relatively similar. And crit multi of 20 minimum. We have 28 on ours. And we can go with fire damage to spells. And we'll just sort by the fire damage to spells rule. 26 results. We're starting at 1 chaos, so we have some amount of value at the very least. And we can sort this a bit by fire damage. And what we're looking for is something around 100% spell fire damage total, which is what this has. That's got more crit multi than us, and about the same flat fire, a little bit more actually. So this is very similar to our wand, very similar to our wand. A little bit brickier. We've got room to craft things on this. I think I might be able to craft a little bit of cast speed on it, which would help. Let's see what I can do. No, I cannot. What I can do is craft some crit strike chance for spells. So let's actually put that in. Let's put in like any amount. If I can type any amount of critical strike chance for spells, and see if that narrows our search at all. 5 results down. We're starting at 13C. So this only costs 2 alchs to craft on, and it'll get us up to 30%. So this is 85% as like a rather low end. But let's sort by flat fire again. We've got 3x here. That's much better than ours. This one's similar, but it doesn't have a price, which doesn't help us. This one is relatively similar. We can just, that's the top end of crafted, as you can see. That is the absolute max crafted roll. It's got a little bit more crit multi and around the same fire spell damage. And less flat fire. So this is basically our wand for 40. Which is nice. It's a different base, but that's fine. Our base still has that same implicit. So we could put it up for 40. It's been up for 16 hours. Let's see, how close is this to ours? Better crit chance, around the same fire spell damage. Much worse flat, though. So I think we've got something around this sort of level. So we're going to start it at 40C, and we're going to craft on the increased crit and hope that we roll well. So let's see. Let's transition back to game. And boom. 43, not bad. That is in the higher end of the range. So we're going to start this wand here at 40 chaos. And the last piece of gear I had was this dagger with 103% crit strike chance for spells and some flat lightning damage to spells, but no spell damage, no crit multi. I really don't think this is going to be worth very much, but I just wanted to teach myself the absolute base value of having crit strike for spells plus flat added damage. So we're just basically going to be self-educating a little bit here as we get critical strike chance for spells of 120, let's say, minimum, and then flat added lightning. No, sorry. Lightning damage to spells. And it's 10 to 131, so that's pretty high up there in the range. And we're just gonna, well, we should exclude a bunch of rolls if we wanna, yeah. So we're gonna do not spell damage and not attack speed. So not some of the things that make these nice, and not multiplier. So we're just going to find like the base value of these things. And this isn't so much to price check this individual item, as we still have so many results, as it is to teach ourselves a little bit about what these daggers might be worth. This has been up for 12 minutes. It's not going to sell at 25. And we have daggers that are worth maybe a chaos at this sort of level. So yeah, as I thought, this dagger is not going to be worth very much, but it was a useful way to teach myself and to reaffirm my suspicions. So let's see what I can craft on first. I don't know. I just see over 100 crit strike for spells, and I can't let it go so easy. But I can't imagine it's worth crafting on for 4C. And without any crit multi, yeah. Goodbye. You are worth 7 shards, 7 alt shards, and 4 elk shards. Well, that's going to be the end of the episode today, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned a thing or two. I certainly did. My name is Octavian. It's been great talking to you all, and if you enjoyed the sound of my voice, the content of this episode, or anything at all to do with what you just watched, you can always catch more of me when I go live on Twitch every single night. The link to my Twitch is going to be in the description down below the video if you want to see how I get all the gear. Anyways, that's it for me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all next time.